Be aware that this isn't set in stone, but you can have a variety. So let's do our first writing exercise. So first of all, write your dominant attachment style, right? Okay. So the first thing I want you to write about is reflect on your relationship with your caregivers during your early years. Were they consistent and nurturing or inconsistent, neglectful, or did they scare you? Just kind of write a few sentences or whatever you need about that first. Okay, so now the next thing is, how do you typically respond in close relationships at the moment? Like, let's go with the present. Do you seek closeness but fear rejection? That would be an anxious attachment. Or do you avoid intimacy and prefer independence, that you're avoiding more often than not? And the other one is, do you feel confused, conflicted, and fearful of both closeness and distance at the same time? That's disorganized. So this is, just going to reinforce what attachment style you really are as a dominant. And I'm going to share something that may help with your process here. Here's the chart. If you are insecure attachment, it's most likely that you're in fight flight most of the time. So what I want you to do is read the feeling, the thought list, and see if you actually agree with that. Like, in other words, are you angry and frustrated a lot? Or anxiety and panic? Or is that, there's probably both if you're insecure attachment. But look at the descriptors of behavior because it'll tell you how your body will tend to be, and see if that matches what you think is true for you. If you're not insecure, but you're avoidant, you're going to be more likely in freeze or shutdown. Overwhelmed, pain, I can't escape, I'm cornered. Of course, I'm cornered, right? Because that's exactly how the avoidant feels, or any of these others. So take a look and just kind of see if that resonates, what you experience. And if so, make notes. Like for me, I don't have resentment on this list, but anger and resentment are one of the things that I feel the most in response to my perceived unavailability of someone helping me out with my needs. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is explore the impact of your attachment style on your life. So the purpose of this is to recognize how your attachment style contributes to stress or limits your life. So the first question is, in what ways does your attachment style add to your stress? You consider patterns in your relationships, and even your emotional regulation, and your life choices as well. So let's start with that. Another thing to add to this is, how does this attachment style interfere with the life you want to create? Like, does it prevent deeper connections? Does it make you avoid opportunities out of fear? Does it lead to patterns in emotional withdrawal or overwhelm? And try to identify specific situations where this is making trouble for you. Now, what we want to do is identify the patterns that you want to interrupt. So, you've already identified how this pattern of it's an adaptive behavior that was necessary at one point, but now is causing you trouble. So, therefore, what you want to do is identify specific triggers that you tend to repeat, or, associated with this attachment style that you've just kind of highlighted and identified. Which of these would you most like to change? So, let's list those. When I did the session on curative power of truth. So I'm going to just do a summary of that because it ties into this. Here's my experience, and I'm not saying that this is the ultimate thing because I'm not sure that I'm right about this for everyone, but I want to share it anyway because it's pretty profound. My experience is that these ways in which we avoid ourselves, and I'm not saying we're doing that consciously because it really isn't conscious. So what I mean avoid ourselves is that we abandon our true voice in a sense. Instead, we want to use these strategies as a way of trying to get our needs met or to protect ourselves rather than being genuine, because we couldn't be genuine when we were young, right? So you have to think about this. If you're a child at the mercy of your parents, or whoever. You know the voice, not especially if they're abusive, right? You know, if they're not abusive, you do. And so you had to bury or not even just you lost touch with what your authentic desires were or your authentic sort of expression is because you had to survive. Part of what these attachment styles represent was a strategy to survive that the cost of it was to, you had to pay with your authentic voice. And it's going to be a sense that I feel like I should work out more, or I've always wanted to be an artist that I never was willing to take the risk. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't, whatever it is, or, I want my relationship to be more intimate. And I've noticed that it's drifted in a way I don't like. Whatever it is, the calling, that truth that calls to you will tell you what you're not going towards. And I, like I said, it's my experience is that it's that honest connection with that thing that you truly want that gives you enough oomph to face these things that are hard to face. I don't think you can do it without it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my opinion because it's just way too much discomfort involved in this process unless you have a higher goal to shoot for. And when you have that higher goal and it's really connected to what you really want, it's worth the effort to remove the barriers that are hard to remove because that at least you have something better that you're reaching for. If you found this content helpful, please like and subscribe. You can look forward to more videos about how to overcome chronic illness and chronic pain.